Some nice price action for XRP today, but we have a very interesting video where we're going to be listening to two big voices in the cryptocurrency space, one specifically for XRP and one for the broader market, and their views and opinions around XRP. And I think you guys are going to be very interested to hear this. Now, if we first of all look at the price action for XRP, we can see $3.14. So again, we came down to retest the support we've been talking about at about $2.98 to $3, and it's holding up very nicely. As I said, I think this pullback is due to broader market situations than it is locally isolated at XRP, which is not something that the bears want to hear. The bears want to blame XRP specifically for any pullback. But if we looked at the market just yesterday, everything was red, and now today everything's been flipped on its head once again to see green across the board. Now, it's nothing to celebrate yet. It's not a lot of green, and we are still yet to see Ethereum break its bear market resistance right here. But the closer and the longer we stay to this resistance, the more chance it has to break it, in my opinion, sitting at 3,860. And a lot of people ask me, Conor, why do you keep talking about Ethereum in XRP videos? And it is my belief that Ethereum will dictate whether or not we get into an alt season. So first of all, I'm looking at the Ethereum chart to see if we break the resistance. I'm looking at the altcoin season index chart to see if we can break into an altcoin season. We're up 50% of the way there now. And I'm looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart to see if we can now lose the support at about 60% for Bitcoin dominance. All of those three together will create hopefully an alt season, and that alt season will, in my opinion, create upside momentum for XRP. Yes, we have a lot of bullish momentum for XRP, but it does not sit outside of the current liquidity in the crypto market. No matter how much people want that to be the case, it's currently not the case. So if the entire crypto market crashes, XRP will crash with it. If the entire market pumps, XRP will pump with it, and hopefully it's one of the coins that pumps the most, which is the reason why I have my low leverage strategy, which includes XRP. And just yesterday, guys, consumers and retails, according to this guy, Jerome Powell, are paying the majority of tariff impacts, saying that Jerome Powell, after the Federal Reserve voted to hold interest rates where they are. So a bit of a nothing burger yesterday at the FOMC meeting. A lot of people left thinking, well, another boring day. But guys, it wasn't a boring day. We had massive earnings beats from Microsoft, from Meta, and from Hood, all mashing their earnings expectations, which shows me there is a lot of money still in this market, and there doesn't seem to be any signs of a recession right now anyway, although probably just kicking that can down the road. But for me, it seems like there is liquidity in this market, and hopefully that liquidity can flow where we want it to, right? So Andre Jick, a massive person in the crypto and finance space, and he says he's been following XRP since 2014, and he's still not found the answers to these questions, genuinely looking for thoughtful responses. And some of these questions I have myself, I've been thinking them myself, and I would love the answers. So Ripple has 300 plus banking partnerships, but after 13 years, shouldn't there be billions in daily on-chain volume? If XRP is volatile, why use it over stable coins for faster transfers? Why would giants like BlackRock use the XRPL for tokenization instead of building their own blockchain? Robinhood uses Arbitrum and plans their own. Geopolitical risk, why would foreign countries trust a US-based private company payment network? Now, look at this. David Schwartz actually responded here. So we get an insight from directly Ripple and XRP themselves. So talking about the 300 plus banking partnerships and the lack of billions of on-chain volume a day. He says, I think there are a number of reasons why institutions have historically preferred to use digital assets off-chain rather than on-chain. I think we're close to changing that because institutions are starting to see the benefits of moving on-chain. But I agree, it's been very slow. Even Ripple can't use the XRPL DEX for payments yet because we can't be sure a terrorist won't provide the liquidity for the payment. Features like permissioned domains will address this. Now, if XRP is volatile, why use it over stable coins? There are use cases where volatility isn't a minus or is even a plus. Generally, most of the digital assets, from the general view, is that the upside is worth more than the downside. So as long as you aren't very risk adverse, holding it is not really a disadvantage. Just like that I talk about a lot on the channel. Like when I'm trading, basically positioning myself right now for the bull run, right, is the fact that I have basically a 50-50 chance of making a lot of money or losing 100%. But a lot of money could be 1,000%, 10,000% gains with the risk of losing 100%. So for me, the risk to reward is there, but that's because I'm very not risk averse, right? Now, why would giants like BlackRock use the XRPL for tokenization instead of building their own blockchain? He said, David Schwartz that is, I'm not sure how much they will really matter so long as we have interoperability and asset portability. Multiple chains are a good form of scalability. But I think the best way to see why they might ask the same question about Circle, why don't they launch USDC only on their own blockchain? You can see why that's obviously silly. I think the same logic will apply to tokenized real-world assets over the next year or two. So basically saying that tokenized assets can be interoperable with all of these different chains, and no one chain needs to exist. There can be multiple chains and have basically a market of different places, and the bridge currencies or whatever they are can sit on all of these different chains. And then the geopolitical risks. So if you're asking about XRPL, it's not really US based. It is never discriminated against any particular participant, and if it is ever started to, I would hope that people would stop using it. If you mean Ripple's enterprise payment products, we have separately licensed entities in many jurisdictions. But obviously you're not going to see it in North Korea or Cuba anytime soon, as there might be in some cases pushback to the US company having some control over, say, payments between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. We build trust and we may make hay when the sun shines. So very interesting discussion there. I want to hear your thoughts and opinions around this down there in the comment section, guys. I think that this is relatively bullish. It does open my eyes a little bit to their thinking. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.